and welcome to the post-race show for the Southern African Endurance Series. My name is KWANDA, and after a very successful double-header here in East London, the tables have really turned for both the SAE and the SAGT. Let's see exactly what went down in these race highlights.
The SAGT race at East London Grand Prix circuit started off with much anticipation. Dane Angel, the championship leader, was notably absent, leaving the door open for all those in tow to usurp the young Cape Townian. Toyota Gazoo driver HENK LATEGAN lined up first in the Pro-Am category in his Porsche 911. Charles Arangis arrived on form to take pole by almost half a second ahead of SILVIO SCRIBANTE and ALDO SCRIBANTE, with Marcel Angel in row 2. With no team orders in play, it was a mad dash to the famed Potter's Pass, with SILVIO SCRIBANTE confidently claiming that he will be in the lead at the end of turn 1. Into turn 1 and it happened. SILVIO SCRIBANTE got the lead and the battle ensued. Then, thanks to an uncharacteristic mistake by Arangis, SILVIO managed to build up a bit of a lead and a cushion early on. Mikael Patamba's old-spec Lamborghini had pace, but unfortunately continued to suffer with reliability issues throughout the race, leading to an early retirement for the DTM Trophy driver. Despite an otherwise fantastic weekend in the endurance races, MOKOENA suffered a puncture which stranded the lone GT4 Audi on the outside of turn 1, ending their session prematurely. While all this was happening, Arangis was back within striking distance, and lap after lap Arangis applied the pressure to SILVIO. But SILVIO would not yield, and despite a few close calls with backmarkers, Arangis was unable to get by. He then dipped into the pits for a driver change, where experienced and fast racer Arnold Neveling stepped into the number 1 Audi for the chase. HENK LATEGAN and MARIUS Jackson had some solid dices, but in the end LATEGAN came in 4th position ahead of Jackson, who made his East London debut. Son Moodley followed on in an incredibly imposing AMG GT3. Neveling continued his chase, and despite SILVIO getting held up by Jackson's Audi for a few corners, the closing gap was not enough, and SILVIO eventually crossed the line as the winner of round 5 in East London. Although the number 1 Audi was second on the road, the team were unfortunately excluded from the results due to a technical infringement. This left second place to ALDO SCRIBANTE, followed by Pro-Am's Angel and IBBOTSON. SAGT grids are formed by the previous race's lap times. So this time SILVIO lined up on pole. With his main rival starting from the back, one would think SILVIO would have it all his way. But thanks to 75 kilograms of ballast, it would be a tough outing for the PE local. On lap 1, SILVIO got immense pressure from the Angel Ferrari, who took the lead into Potters. The rest of the field jostling, with MOKOENA overtaking some GT3s in his GT4 in the process. Angel wouldn't be able to hold on for long though, the Ferrari seemingly lacking some pace at this stage, and eventually both Lamborghinis got past the prancing horse. Arrie Neveling charged through the field to get up to 4th place early on, and then eventually, in spectacular fashion, the lead of the race. But the come from behind victory was not to be, as the Audi's engine failed, resulting in another safety car situation. While all this was happening, the young MOKOENA, after having driven all weekend, had to retire thanks to a leg cramp, and mentor and sponsor MARIUS Jackson gave up his campaign to check on the youngster. After the safety car, Angel once again took the lead. This time he wasn't going to make it easy though, and then when SILVIO tried to get the overtake, he had a bit of a moment at KWANDA. Luckily, no terminal damage inflicted. Son Moodley had a massive moment at Potters, thanks to a nudge from SCRIBANTE, but thankfully managed to rejoin without visible problems, and to many sighs of relief without the need for yet another safety car. According to Team SCRIBANTE, no team orders were in play, and with some newfound pace, ALDO SCRIBANTE harassed the sister Hurricane all the way to the finish line. IBBOTSON lost 3rd to the LATEGAN Porsche, but managed to stay ahead of MARIUS Jackson and Son Moodley in 6th place. Under threatening skies, the start of the final round was a tense one. The pecking order had already been established, But with the rain being the ultimate equalizer, it could be anyone's race. ALDO SCRIBANTE found himself in pole, followed by SILVIO, IBBOTSON and a lightning-quick Jackson, who had seemingly found his pace at East London. ALDO knows the head of his brother SILVIO, and with no one in the field willing to yield, IBBOTSON and SILVIO collided, sending both of them off the track and into the pits. SILVIO coming off worst with a damaged right rear. ALDO emerged in the lead, followed by Jackson and the rest of the field. Minutes later, and as predicted, the rain came. Drivers frantically started diving into the pits, and this would be the turning point for Team Angel as Marcel took the reins of the number 46. The Ferrari, now on wet tyres, galloped off into the distance, demonstrating serious prowess in the rain. He would continue to hold the lead as the others behind constantly fought to get within overtaking distance. While both still on dry tyres, MOKOENA passed SILVIO, the GT4 seemingly more drivable in the rain, especially when not changing to wet tyres yet. But once SILVIO put on a set of wet weather boots, it was off to the races as he tried to hunt down the leader. Despite an incredibly brave and fast charge from SILVIO SCRIBANTE, it was Team Angel's master strategy call that saw them take the lead all the way to the finish. ALDO SCRIBANTE in second, followed by SILVIO, Jackson and MOKOENA.
It was an amazing weekend for you, winning the first 2 races this weekend, and then interesting third one.
Yeah, I mean, my brother was first and I was second, and he had the line for Potters, and I gave him, well, I had to tap off. I was on the outside, so, and then I tried to snake in behind him, and then all of a sudden I felt this impact from behind, and it put me into a massive slide onto the inside of Potters, and managed to hang on to it, not spin the car, but unfortunately, when I straightened the car and came back onto the track, I realized that my steering spoke was skew and my car was leaning down to the right. So I thought something had broken actually, but I saw the smoke come out of the right-hand rear and I knew there was a flat tire. So it was unfortunate, but that's racing, I suppose, you know.
It was an interesting decision to come in, you changed the tyres and then didn't go onto wets and had to come in again.
Yeah, the circuit was still dry when I came in, so you know I did about 5 laps on those slicks, and then it was just the bucketing down, and it was so slippery. I nearly lost the car a few times, in fact, on that last lap, and yeah, I mean, when I went out, I couldn't find my comms cable, so it wasn't plugged in, so I hadn't notified the pits I was coming in either. So it was just like a frantic moment, and everything was just going wrong. So. But anyway, shame, and I feel a bit bad because my brother wanted to pit at the time when I just suddenly popped in, unannounced, and I think it cost him the race, so shame. He's a little bit upset with me.
But at the end of the day, even though there was a little bit of bad luck, you still hunted down that pack and still came in third.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, you know, I can't complain this weekend, you know. I've had two wins, and to end with a third, I mean, I'm happy with that. It's good results, it's a finish, and it's good points. So I think, yeah, you know, going into the next round, I'll be leading the championship and my brother will be second. So what a great result for our team, and kudos to our team for just making the car so reliable. And yeah, what a great weekend for both of us, 1-2.
The winners of round 7 of SAGT. Jason, I think I'm going to start with you because you pirouetted this afternoon.
Can't you just leave some stuff like in the past? Yeah, it was a great start. The 3 of us got away very aggressively into turn 1, and SILVIO and I didn't quite make it through the other end on the track. But we managed to get ourselves together, and I got back onto it a lot quicker than SILVIO. SILVIO lost a tyre, and yeah, I got onto it, and then it wasn't much longer. The rain came down, and just, do we go on to wets? Do we stay? And Marcel was saying stay, and I'm going no. So we went on to wets, and the rest is old man's history.
I think what was key in this is the weather kind of played into your hands and strategy.
Yeah, you know, I think after the incident in turn 1, we kind of had to do a whole reset and see where we were, and then the rain came, and I think Jason had only been out for like 4 laps. And we said, look, we've got to do this thing now. We've got to stop now. We've got to pit now. The rain's come. We've got to use this opportunity. We don't want to make the same mistake we made in the race before, which cost us, a podium. So we pulled the car in. So Jason unfortunately drove for probably 10 minutes, if that, and I've to finish the race.
It's disaster for some and elation for others, as all of a sudden it's SILVIO SCRIBANTE who sits atop the leaderboard while Dane Angel slips down just one position thanks to the topsy-turvy nature of the weekend. At the top it's getting much closer with just 15 points separating the top 6. Marcel Angel leads the Pro-Am category and shows that he can box with the pros if need be. And let's not forget that drivers can drop rounds, so the championship is far from settled. But our visit to East London was not just about GT racing. It was also about endurance racing, where drivers with various cars and various teams battle each other over 4-hour races, the second of which started in the early hours of the morning. Here's what happened. The Winter Motorsport Festival certainly delivered off-track thrills for the spectators, but on track, Jeffrey Kruger and Rian Botma planted their Auto Investments Ligier on pole by just 0.037 seconds from Hein and Henk LATEGAN's box-fresh BBR Racing Porsche 992 GT3. MOKOENA Sepuka took third, just ahead of Sun Moodley's AMG. Steve Clark, Brian Martin headed Class C in their backdraft slingshot, while Class D sneak ahead of the K-Lex Polo of Trevor Bland and Carter Hill. The Class E backdraft brigade was headed by Meyer Harvey and Wilson, followed by the Graham Lance Robertson machine. Rian Botma streaked into the distance, chased by LATEGAN's Porsche, with MOKOENA holding third. The racing got fiery immediately, but after just 17 minutes, the first safety car was deployed, when a stray dog entered the track. The action would continue for a while, but the second safety car would come just 55 minutes later, under much more dramatic circumstances. This moment would be the end of the Creative Inc. team's weekend. The Ligier pitted shortly after the same alternator troubles as before, rejoining 14 laps behind the last place car after losing 79 minutes conducting repairs. This left LATEGAN in the lead. Trouble befell the Porsche as well when a power steering alarm went off, so LATEGAN pitted to reset the system, losing the lead in the process. Their final pit stop was slow, costing 2 laps to Sepuka, who serenely reeled off the laps. As is the case with endurance racing, a few cars were forced to retire. Steve Clark and Brian Martin retired their backdraft slingshot after a major mechanical issue, while Mikael Patamba retired their Alpha with a broken gearbox. A titanic and strategic battle commenced at the front, with drivers and teams furiously trying to go for the overtake on track or the pit lane undercut. After a valiant effort, Jeffrey Kruger, having set the fastest lap time 3 seconds quicker than his qualifying lap, retired the Ligier after it ran bearings, leaving the Auto Investments team to change the engine for the next race. Third went to the Morgenrud trio of Benjamin, Christian and Ben Sr. after a steady drive taking Class E honours in the process. Trevor Grabian, Fabian Lance and Jago Robertson brought their backdraft home in fourth, ahead of Harman Baden Pretorius, who lost 2 laps during a pit stop due to a stuck refueling nozzle. Colin Ellison was partnered by Arnold Neveling in race 1, ending 8th overall after suffering a small fire caused by leaking power steering oil. They beat the car of Meyer Harvey and Wilson, who spent 58 minutes in the pits repairing a broken gearbox. Across the line came the fast, poised and reliable team of Henk and Hein LATEGAN, who this time had to settle for second position behind Chop Sepuka and his nephew KWANDA MOKOENA, who celebrated victory in the pits of East London. Again, the grids were based on the fastest lap from the previous day's racing. So, Kruger and Botma won pole from LATEGAN's Porsche. MOKOENA, Sepuka, Moodley, Clark, Mike McLaughlin and the rest of the pack were following on. The Ligier team was uncertain if the replacement engine would last and contemplated retiring the car, but Kruger's outlap convinced the team otherwise. Under the cloudy dawn sky, long before sunrise, Kruger took an immediate lead from LATEGAN's Porsche. Sepuka slot into third ahead of Clark's slingshot. Ellison, partnered by Chris Radloff this time, took the early Class E lead from the father and son Pretorius backdraft. 2 laps in, the Morgenrud backdraft suffered a snap throttle cable, which cost 11 laps to repair. The backdraft dramas continued, with Wilson's car stopping after half an hour with a blown motor. 1 hour into the race, Kruger and LATEGAN were embroiled in a colossal fight for the lead.
Save the tyres, that's the most important thing at the moment, because the car is using the front tyres really quickly. So I could feel them falling off a lot at the end. So I think that's what he's going to try and do as well, so that we don't have to do an extra stop at the end.
What was the pressure like out on the track?
Oh, it was really nice. I just got Jeffrey behind me. I think they stopped under the safety car and then we could get out in front. And once you let him pass, he's gone. So our only chance is to keep him behind us in the tight bits, because their car is really quick around the slow stuff. And then on the long straight, we have a bit of an advantage. So I can at least keep him behind there. But yeah, then it's a lot of work keeping him behind in the infield section.
After 90 minutes of racing, Botma led LATEGAN by 39 seconds, with MOKOENA in third. The top three separated by less than a minute, running less than a second apart as they fought, passing and repassing each other. Eventually, HENK pitted, leaving Kruger to take first. It was another slow stop for the BBR Porsche. 4 minutes elapsed before HEINRICH got going once more, dropping to fourth behind Sepuka and McLaughlin. The Ligier was ailing and soon LATEGAN was in the lead, followed by MOKOENA and Botma clinging on to third after Clark also had to pit for repairs. Kruger went out and brought the car back to the pits with 35 minutes to go, saying it was undrivable, and the problem was traced to a loose earth wire, which once fixed put the car back on song and retained their hard-fought podium finish. The 42 car of Lance and Jagger fought hard, working their way up to third in class before an engine failure caused an untimely retirement to their Class E backdraft. The McLaughlin-Clark slingshot remained in fourth, with Ellison holding on to fifth to claim Class E and Index of Performance honours, an award given for ultimate consistency. Endurance racing can be very difficult at times, and for the pesty racing backdraft it was terrible, with the team's car stuck in fifth gear over the last 45 minutes of the race. They still, however, claimed sixth overall and second in class. Team Kupani were fighting for a podium the entire race. Eventually they took the final Class E podium place and 7th overall ahead of the troubled Morgenrud crew. Mikael Patamba retired his Stradale Lamborghini GT3 with suspected fuel pump issues after several trips to the pits. KWANDA, MOKOENA and Chop Sepuka crossed the line first to take both races in this incredible double-header. They were followed by the LATEGANs, and the Ligier crossed the line in third in what was a valiant effort of resilience from the auto investment team.
Performance from you this weekend, really great, winning both SAE races. Tell me a little bit about the weekend and the drive.
It was a very good weekend, I'd say. Managing to get the first winner, managing to get the winner yesterday and today. I would say it was a little bit harder, getting that drive-through penalty, which definitely made the race a lot closer. But nonetheless, we still managed to come out on top and leave the weekend leading the championship, so I'm very happy.
Leading the championship now, obviously there's a little bit of a target on your back.
Yeah, let me not even say leading, it's very close, so only between 2 points, so it could go down to the wire, but hopefully we can manage to extend the gap the next round and carry on the way that we are now.
It was a very big weekend for you. Your dad was here, a lot of family and friends. What was it like having everybody at the track?
No, originally being from East London, it was very nice having all the supports and everyone come out, so really enjoyed it and really looking forward to the next race here.
You grew up on the circuit. Do you think that gave you a bit of an extra advantage this weekend?
Maybe a little bit, but I still can't take anything away from the other guys. And the team also did a brilliant job in getting the car set up. So I think it was, in all, just a huge effort from everybody. So super grateful.
Okay, next race coming up by the end of the next month. What are the feelings? What is going to happen?
Hopefully just do the same thing that we did now and that we've been doing, just carry on pushing, going for podiums and being consistently in the points. And I think at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, hopefully it'll be enough to give us the championship.
It takes a lot of moving parts, a lot of effort and a lot of hard work. to get a championship like this off the ground and now into the mainstream. We chatted to a few key players in the space, starting with Buffalo City Development Agency Chairman Tembenkosi Bonakele.
Event. This circuit is a very historical circuit and we would like to preserve it. It's a heritage of Buffalo City. It's also the heritage of South Africa. People forget that in the 60s this used to host Formula One races. So we're very proud to be having races of this nature in this circuit in our home city. It's very important for the local community, but also for South Africa.
What is Buffalo City doing to support the growth of motorsport in the city?
Here in this racing circuit, we are building a water world for children to be able to come in to the race course, and they can see this as a social setting for families, for sports enthusiasts, for petrol heads. So we're combining all of that. We want to make it a family venue. So you'll see there's a lot of development happening around this circuit, and this is all our attempts to make this a family place where people feel they can enjoy themselves, but they can also feel safe as they do that.
That for me obviously is to bring back the people to the racetrack, to have a show. We forget about the show business. It's not about just motorsport. So the intent is with the city and the government to make this a festival, and whereby we attract everybody, flea markets, local business, get them involved, get their product to be displayed. It's so important to give people that chance to be seen and to get it out in the public. It's all about creating jobs. It's all about working together. And I think if you don't filter back into the community, it's wrong. So, if we think about business, the rental cars has been taken, the hotels have been booked, restaurants are making money, it's all about education, bringing this whole thing together. And I think it's about time. And I just want to thank all the officials that was here today. It's very important to get their support. And at least it sounds like they're happy.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Southern African Endurance Series. My name is KWANDA, and this was our post-race show from a beautiful sunny East London. It's always fun out at the races, and make sure you tune in for our very next race happening. It might just be a bit of a surprise. For myself, KWANDA, we'll see you next time.